Greetings and salutations. Thank you for lending an ear to The Voice of the Times this Sunday, April 4, 2021. For today's editorial, continuing surge pushes country to the precipice. Hopes for a rapid and robust economic recovery this year seem to be fading as new COVID-19 cases continue to climb. Every week it seems, record highs are broken. Also, several indicators may be signaling that the country is on the precipice and about to fall off. Last week, at a business forum organized by the Manila Times, we heard Dr. Bernardo Villegas mention that the Philippines was unlikely to realize its gross domestic product or GDP growth target of between 6.5% and 7.5%. Dr. Villegas, who is known as the prophet of boom for his rosy forecasts, was uncharacteristic in saying 4% was more likely for the Philippines this year. That outlook was rattling, given that optimism was running high at the start of 2021. New cases were averaging below 1,500 a day, even falling further in the final days of 2020. With the health crisis seemingly under control then, people were set to climb out of the crater created by the economic impact of the pandemic. GDP contracted 9% last year, the most severe reversal since the government started measuring the total economy after World War II. Of course, the negative 9% GDP may be mainly attributed to the quarantine. Another indicator to worry about is inflation. It is expected to be benign this year according to the central bank, but persistent reports of inadequate food supplies such as pork and continued disruptions in supply chains make us worry about cost-push inflation. Recently, the central bank reported that inflation in March may have reached 4.7%. That would be within the range expected between 4.2% and 5%, but 4.7% would also be a two-year high. Even more troubling is the unemployment rate, which normally moves in the opposite direction of inflation. This inverse relationship is explained by the Phillips curve, but instead of going down, unemployment remains stubbornly high. The jobless rate was 8.7% in January and 8.8% in February. Naturally, this indicator only accounts for people actively looking for work, but cannot find employment. The labor participation rate, which includes all those who can work from age 15 and older, was 63.5% in February. That is higher than January's 60.5%. One other metric is worth mentioning, but it is not economic. Our vaccination rate is low, in fact, one of the lowest in Southeast Asia, at just 1.06% of the population as of March 30, 2021. That figure would be less worrisome if the Philippines did not also have one of the highest numbers of COVID-19 cases. On that measure, the Philippines is second in the region after Indonesia. Now brace for worse. With Metro Manila and some adjacent provinces again under lockdown, it may be safe to assume that the economy, as battered as it is, will take more hits. Also, the longer the lockdown, the bigger the economic setback. Evidently, reopening now to salvage the economy would be foolish, but as mentioned in our previous editorials, the government needs to find a better balance between public health and economic survival. It cannot be, as they say, a one-trick pony. We need better safeguards to move forward. Hearing officials proclaim that they have done a good job or that nothing else could have been done is hardly reassuring. Such statements suggest that the clamor for better contact tracing and even more testing might be failing to register. Granted, other countries are also experiencing a resurgence of cases, but instead of finding comfort in miserable company, we should be learning from countries that are managing this health crisis better, such as South Korea, Singapore, and Vietnam. And when it comes to vaccinations, we should study what was done in Israel and Serbia. We should also learn from our mistakes. More preparation should have been made when cases were down last year. Also, too many people became complacent or tired of the public health precautions. We are now suffering the consequences. Soon, we shall see if we can still catch ourselves from falling. And that's the editorial for Easter Sunday, April 4, 2021. For more news and information, get a copy of the Manila Times on print, subscribe to our digital edition, or log on to www.manilatimes.net. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and listen to The Voice of the Times.